Aloha! Happy Halloween. It better be Halloween. Also, intro sequence is going to make zero sense because you can't dance to scary, spooky skeletons on November 1st. It's Thanksgiving season then. Oops. It was fancy day today, and as you can see, I have since unbuttoned my shirt, but it looked good. I got 2 compliments, which is 2 more than I normally get. Anyway, I was going to talk about NaNoWriMo today. But first, I realized in my last video I never responded to H. Houston's questions, so I'm going to do that now. And the first question, B, what has changed in your writing? And to that I say absolutely nothing yet. I do write essays more often, and I write them with what I consider a professional voice, but nothing in my storytelling or in the way I craft fictional stories has changed since Duke. Nothing significant anyway. I hope that something will. And I've gotten a bit better at planning stories, but in terms of writing them, God, look at this bag under my eye. In terms of writing them, nothing has changed yet. And the second question was, what or which resources do you use to write your stories or plan your stories? And I currently use Google Docs, and that is a result of last year my school iPad, the iPad the school gives us because they're rich. It was the only one that didn't have pages on it, so I was forced to use Google Drive or Google Docs, and then I became invested in it, and now that's how I write my stories. And in terms of planning for this NaNoWriMo story, currently I use Microsoft OneNote, but in terms of all planning in general, it's a lot of different sources. Like the musical, Lafayette musical, it has a big Google Docs outlines 18 pages long, and then I have some notes in my one of my moleskins, some more notes in another moleskin, some on the notes on my phone, and some on the notes on my iPad, which I'm using the phone right now. So it's very scattered in most aspects, and I assume this NaNoWriMo story will get a bit scattered as time progresses. Anyway, those are all of H. Houston's questions, so now I'm going to get into the NaNoWriMo section of the video, and I have to say I finally found an idea, which I'll talk about in a second, but first I am going to do the NaNoWriMo Tag, and I don't remember how many of you are doing Nano, but I encourage you, if you are, to make a tag video as well, because it's nice, and we can be tag buddies. I have a thing on my lip, and it's really, really aggravating. Anyway, let's start. Question number 1. How many times have you done Nano? None. This is my first fucking time. Hooray! Question 2. How did you first find out about NaNoWriMo? And I first found out about it on Wattpad about 4 years ago. They sent me an email, and they were sponsoring this NaNoWriMo challenge. And so that's how I found out about it. It was on my page, and I looked at it and was like, I can't write a novel in 30 days. And I was 10, so I really didn't attempt too much. But that's how I discovered Nano for the first time. Question number 3. Yeah, that's 3 in it. Question number 3. What was the name of the first novel you attempted to write during NaNoWriMo? And this is the first novel I've tried to write during NaNoWriMo, obviously. So far, the working title is Frightened by the Bite, which is named after the short story that this is based on. And that title from the short story in itself comes from an Arctic Monkeys lyric from a song called 505. I'll put the link in the description. It's very good. I recommend you listen to it. Question number 4. Give us a 1-sentence summary of what you're writing this year. A 1-sentence summary would be: girl's life is falling apart, and this old friend, which she abandoned in the past, is suddenly becoming more and more present in her life. I'm sorry, that's not really a good description or a plot, but it's what I've got, and I'm not throwing away my shot. Yo, I'm not throwing away my shot. Hey, yo, I'm just like my country is so broke, it's not funny, and I'm not throwing away my shot. I just did that. Question 5 is, what is the best writing advice you've ever been given? I don't know. I've been given a lot of writing advice over my life, and I've taken every writing course in school I've been able to. I've gone to DYWC 2 years in a row, but honestly, I don't know. I don't have any definitive answers for this question. If I had to say anything, though, it would be write what you love, because if you do that, it makes writing 1,000 times easier, and it's already pretty hard, but it makes it easier. That was not a well thought out answer. And I don't know. I don't have a definitive answer for the best writing advice I've ever been given. I recently got a bunch of plotting tips that, if I can find the link, if I can find the link on the website, I'll put the link in the description to that source of the advice, and it was really helpful. But I really don't know what the best writing advice I've ever been given was. Number 6, have you ever taken a year off of Nano? No, because I haven't done Nano, unless you count the first 14 years of my life, in which case, yes, I guess so. But no, I have not skipped out yet since starting, because I am just now starting. Yay. 7, what is your biggest inspiration in figuring out what to write? My biggest inspiration is probably tips and tricks, like writing tips and tricks or writing how-tos. Specifically, Yuffie's writing how-tos on Wattpad. I'll also put the link in the description. I don't know why I get help from like writing tips when I don't have a plot. It's usually something like, oh, this is a good tip, I should incorporate this into a story, and then I build a story that revolves around that tip. That's how I've written like 3 or 4 of stories I wrote in 7th and 8th grade, which were a while ago, I'll admit. But those are really, really helpful. I basically get some tips or some inspiration from everywhere, like music. That inspires me a lot. Like I said, the title for my short story came from an Arctic Monkeys lyric. I also get tips from watching people, watching social interactions, crushes that I've had, friendships that I've had, history, a lot of tips from history, or a lot of inspiration from history, a lot of books, and just everywhere is where I get my inspiration from. Number 8, show us the first sentence from one of your novels. I've only ever written one novel before, and it's crap, and I don't feel like reliving those days. So instead, I'll give you the first line of a short story I wrote over the course of the summer, a few months ago, and it's from a story called Hooks 2. He kept his victims in a neatly arranged row in the back of the freezer. Fucking spooky, isn't it? Perfect for Halloween. Ow, I hit my knee. Halloween. I almost hit my knee again. I'm so bad at this. And finally, we have question number 9, which is, why do you love writing? I don't know. I had to prepare this answer. I prepared a lot of these answers. I'll be real. Secret. But I don't know why I like writing. It's hard to do. It's not always fulfilling. It's usually fulfilling, but it's not always fulfilling. But I think I need to write. I can immortalize feelings, emotions, people. I don't know. I also really like seeing that little word count at the bottom if you like use Pages, or you can check it on Google Docs or other writing sources. I just like seeing the word count go up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've written 1,000 words today, or oh my gosh, I've written 100,000 words. I have never written 100,000 words in one conclusive. Oh my gosh, I've written 10,000 words in the past week, or something like that. And I also just like making stories. I'm naturally a storyteller. I was born a storyteller ever since I wrote this like trilogy of the Story of the Dragon books, and I didn't know how to write my D's, so I would write them flat on the bottom, the flat part on. I was really bad at. I didn't know what letters were supposed to look like, and they were I was like 3 or 4, and they were on a piece of paper that I folded over, and no one understood what they were saying because I had terrible handwriting and my D's were flat. My D's were flat. My D's were flat. But I don't know. That's how it came to be. Anyway, that was the tag. Now I'm just going to talk about mon story, my story. I don't think that was proper French. I don't know if there are any taboos or superstitions on like talking about your story before you're supposed to, but I'm not particularly superstitious, so here we go. Like I said, it's based on a short story, and I think I posted the original on Wattpad some time ago. If I find that, I'll also put the link in the description. So far, I've mapped out and plotted characters on OneNote. I know the basic like course of action for the story, and I think I'll be able to keep at least relatively close to that 1,667 word daily word requirement. And I also don't plan on finishing this by the end of November. I think I plan on getting at least 40,000, 50,000 words by the end of November, but I don't think I'll be finished with this story by that word count. So I'm going to continue after that. Anywho, as I mentioned, the story is about a girl named Clara whose life is falling apart, Her parents are getting divorced. I'm reading this off of my computer because I don't have it memorized in my head. I'm not that smart. Her parents are getting divorced. Her depression is hitting her really hard, and 4 years ago she was best friends with this kid named Rory. But unfortunately his parents got shot in a robbery, which she blames herself for, because little kids. And the two kind of fell out. I am dying over here today. They fell out in terms of friendship, and Rory ended up living this shitty life that she knows nothing about, because she's been living her life fine. But he is basically the social outcast and a loner, and it's really sad. And the name's Rory and Clara. Before you ask, yes, they came from Doctor Who. I'm sorry, and I know it should be Rory and Amy, but I was like, it'll be too on the nose. So, Rory and Clara. Keep in mind that I made these names up in 7th grade, so don't judge me. Don't judge me. Anyway, one day, Clara notices that Rory is hanging up at the lockers talking to this other girl that she doesn't recognize, and Clara and this other girl end up getting paired together in a history project. And now she has to deal with all this shit, and she's not ready for it again, but she's basically forced into a confined space with Rory because she's partners with his best friend. And her best friend, Maggie, is partners with Rory, and so it's really, she's not like in this situation she ends up with, and then you get to see how their relationship kind of progresses, and she's trying to apologize to him for like doing bad, and he keeps rejecting her because he's really socially awkward. He's not. You'll see. Clara also plays the drums, by the way. She's a drummer girl. I wanted to mention that. And it's kind of a cliche young adult novel, but it's the only thing that's really spoken to me of all of the ideas that I wrote out, and I had like a list of 20 or 30. But of all the ideas, this is the only one that was like, I could actually realistically write this, and it doesn't require a lot of research because I already know. I already wrote the short story, so I know everything that I would need to research, so I don't need to research. Anyway, I think that does it for this video. So I'll see you guys later. I love you. Adieu. I love this song so much. I'm gonna buy this. It has 10 million views. I love it.